This is from Karen. That's related to the. She's going to talk about the borrowing piece of the project. It's one for Bob and Phyllis, and Damon already have a copy.
Oh, okay. Cool. I hear the stairs. Oh. Good.
Being a mom again at 53 is not
You ready to go, Mom?
I am.
I'm sure it's way harder.
It is.
Okay, I'd like to
Expectations have changed.
call the meeting to order and ask you to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening. Thank you for braving the elements to get to our meeting this evening. I have one announcement. We have confirmed that the Citizen Party Caucus will be held on Monday, March 12th at the Turkey Hill Middle School at 7 p.m. And that is for anyone who is planning to run for elective office. If you're nominated and get through the caucus process, you don't need to pull papers. Is there any public comment from the board?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. I was very proud to be a representative of Lunenburg at the Mass Municipal Conference held last weekend in Boston. 3 of our members of the Board of Selectmen were there, as well as 2 elected board members from other committees, for a total of 5 elected officials. It was a great representation. The conference and educational workshops were very informative. We learned a lot, I think. Lunenburg is fortunate to have so many committed elected officials. All the presentations are available on the MMA website. I may have missed others who attended. Were there any department heads or employees at that meeting?
None that I'm aware of.
Oh, that's too bad. Thanks.
I was just going to follow through. I was one of the other ones who attended the conference at the MMA. The trade show, they try to sell you things, but at the same time, you can turn around and try to get information from them. A lot of state agencies were there, including the Department of Environmental Affairs. One of the things they were talking about is people may have heard that China has greatly reduced the purchase of recyclable materials, which will eventually turn into a higher cost for us to dispose of our recyclable materials going forward. As Phil has talked about, the workshops were good. I attended the marijuana law thing and 2 things on social media issues regarding how the municipality should address the issues that maybe arise at that point. Thank you.
Just as a full report, I was also there. Represented the town on several of the organizations we belong to, the sub-organizations. I attended the MMA business meeting, the MMA Selectmen's Association meeting, and the MIAA annual business meeting, and voted in our interests. There was a lot of material there. We all got a lot of handouts, and I'm sure that they'll work their way into shameless stealing of good ideas.
Hope so.
Is there any public comment from the public? Please.
Hi, it's Katie Adams from Williams Drive. Good evening. I just want to make a brief public comment. It's loosely related to my favorite topic, which is municipal buildings, but that's not really what it's about. I've spent all year thinking about that topic, and one item that comes up a lot, which is accessibility of the buildings. And so I think a lot about the historic buildings, and I pay close attention to the idea of the lifts and the ramps and all the things that the buildings will ultimately need. But that being said, The idea of accessibility, I feel like doesn't necessarily have to be a back burner item that is part of a solution that may take a while to get to. But I was just wondering if it's something that we might be able to find more of an immediate solution to. Like when we meet up on the second floor, there's a lot of other spaces in town, like the community rooms in the library or the Eagle House itself, or I think you've had about 3 meetings this winter in the collaborative rooms at the high school. And just maybe analyzing the topic of buildings that are more accessible and do have better parking. And is there an immediate solution to some of these problems that are coming up in these things we're learning about? And that's just sort of something I was wondering that has come up so often, if maybe it's not something that has more of an immediate solution, something, you know, that there could be a building right now that's unused that may be a better space to meet than where we are right now, and not necessarily applying the problems to a building solution, but to see if we can answer some of them earlier on.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just want to comment that one of the reasons that this meeting space is so important is because it's the only live broadcast area. So when we talk about, you know, making it available to people and making it, you know, live streaming versus taping, this is the studio in which we can live broadcast. So yes, we could meet at the community room, but it would not be televised live. So that's one of the drawbacks.
Okay, well, part of my process of thinking is, could we bring this live equipment to another location and
No.
create this environment somewhere else?
Not currently. Not currently. It is something we're working on for a feed for the high school, but we are currently, and the reason I'm speaking is because I'm a member of the Cable Advisory Committee, and the Cable Advisory Committee is working with Comcast on the new contract, but this is the live feed location.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was just thinking that if these are real concerns, looking for more immediate solutions, and we have some beautiful spaces, and if there was a way we could bring this equipment into one of those, we might be able to provide better accessibility as more of an immediate solution. But thank you.
Yeah, just to be clear, it's not just a matter of moving equipment, it's a whole studio. So while we can move mobile equipment to do broadcast that we can then rebroadcast and tape and then rebroadcast, it's a very different setup than just moving the equipment. It's the sound equipment, it's the cameras, it's the studio itself, and the ability to move different cameras. So it's not just a matter of taking a camera and bringing it somewhere else. So from a broadcast perspective, that's why this meeting room is in high demand, and that's why conservation and other boards meet here periodically so that it can be live broadcast.
Thank you. Public comment? Yes.
Good evening. Roxy Com, Superintendent Schools and citizen, 63 Riley Road. I am here to give a big shout out to our DPW, who did just an exemplary job today. It was a challenging weather day, as we're all aware, and working with Jack and Joe and all the folks at the DPW, I just want to acknowledge their hard work and the good work they do keeping us all safe. I also wanted to acknowledge all the citizens in town, as well as some from beyond, who joined us for Career Day today at Lunenburg High School. Many presentations about different kinds of professions, the pathways to those, a wide variety of professions, some that require advanced degrees, some that require no degrees, but bring your passion and your interests, and there were a wide variety of those for students to choose from. So I want to give a shout out to Jenny Whitcomb, who helped Mr. Spadafino put that all together in getting presenters to come in. I know we're going to be talking about our project here a little bit, and I just wanted to acknowledge that we had representatives from Shawmut there presenting about being construction folks and project managers, as well as Charlie Hay, our architect, was there talking about what you do in order to become an architect. So thanks to everyone in the community, as well as beyond, great opportunities for kids. And one of the things that came out in our revisioning and our mission last year was the students had missed this opportunity. But I think we need to move it later in the year, because not in January anymore. So, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to follow up on that. I do want to, I think the DPW has done a phenomenal job in the last few storms that we've had, and I really want to thank them for all their hard work. And I also appreciate the DPW director sharing information and comments on social media, because I think they're being very well received. I think it's great information, very valuable, and truly appreciated.
Thank you. Any other public comment from the public? Okay. First order, we have two major items tonight along with our normal business, and our first is an appointment at 7 to close out the MSBA Middle School, High School project. And with us this evening, we have the chair of the School Building Committee, the chair of the school board, the superintendent, and in an assist role, the finance director for the town. So I'd like to ask you to take the floor and tell us about the fantastic job you folks have done with our middle high school.
And as they're coming up, one of the things that you get at the trade show is lots of pens. And I just grabbed it as I was coming in, and the one that I grabbed was the Massachusetts School Building Authority pen. They had a booth there that way.
Should have grabbed about 70 million.
Which only has 59% ink. Good evening, Mike Mackin, 26 Cortlandt Circle, Chair of the Lunenburg School Building Committee. I'm here to report that the School Building Committee had its final meeting January the 10th, at which point we moved the budget revision and also the final invoice. And I think that we'll be acting on those, or we'll be presenting those tonight. And let me just use this opportunity, first of all, to thank all the members of the board, of the select board, because it was a great deal of support and help and thoughtful questioning and effort that was together that brought the project through. Appreciated the support of the Board of Selectmen when it came to the vote on the funding for the school. It'll be 6 years in 2 weeks that the School Building Committee began its work. So it's been a long journey. It's been a wonderful project. We met with our architect today to do some kind of lessons learned. Things that we might think about doing differently next time, or issues that we didn't think about that we would think about again for further projects, and we thought that was a very important thing to do today. I do want to report some final numbers. Now that we have some final numbers, two of which are solid because they've been reviewed by Mrs. Brochu, so I assume that they're absolutely correct. And that is that, if you recall, our total project budget was $72,975,321. We expended on the project $68,106,475, which means that the project was delivered on time, and it was delivered for over $4.8 million less than the project budget. And this will eventually have an impact, obviously, on the taxpayers, because that's money that will not be needed. And so it'll also have an impact, obviously, on the town share. I want to caution you that this number, I will not give 100% rigor to, because MSBA eventually decides what's allowable and what's not allowable in the project in terms of the final, what the town share will be. But as close as our consultants can come to that number, it looks like when we did the project funding agreement, we made an assumption of a town share of $38.1 million. And our best guess right now, which is fairly rigorous, but as I said, the MSBA has the final decision, would be around $35.5 million would be the town share. So we have delivered a $72 million school project for under budget at an eventual cost to the taxpayer of $35.5 million. I want to thank the members of the School Building Committee. There have been a number of members throughout the 6 years, and each and every one of them contributed. I want to thank the superintendent and the building administrators who were with us throughout the project. I want to thank the faculty who were wonderful in making the transition from the old school to the new school. I'd like to thank the school committee for all of their support throughout the process. And finally, I want to thank the homeowners, our neighbors, the taxpayers of Lunenburg for seeing that this project, the worthiness of this project and giving it its support. So thank you. Ms. Combs?
And on behalf of our students and our staff, I just want to, again, thank the community of Lunenburg for making possible this absolutely amazing place for teaching and learning, but also for community. As you know, our lifelong learning program, we continue to grow and develop. There's a lot of meetings, other kinds of organizations that are taking advantage of this wonderful new facility, and we want to see more of that. So if you have needs, talk to us because this is the community school, and we want to make sure that it's utilized to support the activities and the events within the community. So I wanted to begin today by just, the town manager had sent me last week, evidently, there were some questions about a couple things that people had noticed and wondered what was the status on them. The ones that I heard about was the projector in one of the collaborative spaces. I believe it was the high school collaborative space. It's across from the library.
Okay, yes.
Yep, okay. And there was some noticing of some shaking there is what I understood. And this was something that we dealt with in some of the other areas. Now, that's the first time we've received a report around that. So our IT director, Mr. Maladrinos, and his crew went over and investigated that. They went back through the school dude requests to see if anybody had turned in any kind of notice of that. Not saying that it didn't happen. We're going to continue to monitor that. They could only replicate it if they were pushing on the wall or slamming a door really hard. So I don't know if either of those things might have happened.
Yeah, no, we were having a charrette, and Heather was doing a presentation, and so we were all just watching. And the projector, the entire time that the slideshow was playing, there was a shaking.
Okay. We'll try to see if we can continue to replicate that, because I know that's being utilized, so we'll continue to investigate that. I know we couldn't duplicate that to try to start doing the diagnostics, but we're aware of it, and we'll continue to...
Are you sure it was the high school? I thought it was the other one.
No, I think it was middle school.
Down by the
cafeteria?
cafeteria?
Well, when you go, I don't know which is which. When you go down the stairs, it was the one to the left. We went to the left.
Oh, that's the middle school.
It was the high school. For the charrette.
Yeah, that's the last presentation.
Was it? You guys
I
were
think
there, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was the high school, Building A. So, as I said, we'll continue to watch for that.
It wasn't the second one, it was the first one.
On buildings?
Yes. It was the first one that we did.
That's
It was
still,
with Adam.
that's the same room.
That was
It was
the
the
same
one with
room.
Adam. Okay.
That's still the same room.
Okay.
But we will continue to monitor that and make
Okay.
sure that we take corrective action once they figure out, are able to replicate it and then determine what the appropriate fix is. I know we did some things in the classrooms that probably are not the fix in that room because it was anchored to the ceiling more, and that ceiling's about 30 feet up. So there will have to be further investigation with that. But we appreciate you letting us know about that, and would encourage the community, if they notice those kinds of things, to make sure they just report it to us, because we have a very small but very mighty and very productive IT staff across the town. They serve us all, and they do such an exceptional job with it. The other thing was about the ceiling tiles that had gotten some water on them, and Mr. Londa said those are scheduled for repair on February break, when we'll have a very big lift, because the banners will be going up into the gym this February break as well. And so we'll have a lift that will enable everybody to get up there to replace those. And we have a large supply of building stock, attic stock, they refer to it, so that was left in order to take care of those kinds of things. And Mr. Alonda says this tracks back, he feels, to that water problem that we had in the high school over a year ago now.
And that's one of my
Yeah.
questions is, that was, I'm not quite sure what the cause of that issue was. I know that there were some leaks, and whether it was the solar panels or whether it was a backup. Has that been completely addressed and there's no more leaks?
We have not seen any more leaks, no.
Okay.
We have not seen any more
Okay,
leaks.
how was it, do you know how it was addressed, and
Well, there
who
were a
paid
couple
for
thing-
it, or how that flushed out?
There were a couple ways that were addressed. There was some additional snow guards that were put up on the roof, because some of this was created from the sliding snow.
Okay.
And then if any of it was related to the solar project, it was their responsibility to make those repairs with the roofing contractor in order to resolve those issues. So that's how it was resolved. If you need more detail than that, we'll need to get Mr. Londa up here, as well as perhaps the consultant from Shawmut, to go through how that went. We went through some school building committee additional reviews. We did some modifications and approved those through school building committee to put those snow guards up there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when they leaked, obviously it caused staining on the ceilings. Was it insulation affected? Was anything else affected? Has it been completely taken care of from the ceiling up?
It has been, yes. Shawmut came in at the time when it leaked and did all the checking around that particular piece. So Mr. Londa assures us that this is not due to any current leaks that's going on, and he'll replace those panels.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and are the panels mainly just in the collaborative rooms, or are there multiple areas?
Those were, I think he saw some panels in the rooms further down as well that needed replaced, yeah.
Okay.
When the question came up, it prompted him to go down and further investigate that, and he saw a couple other panels in some rooms that needed replaced as well.
Okay.
Okay?
And I do have one other question, the HVAC system.
Yes?
What is the status of that?
He's working with the consultants. The status is it's operational. The status is that Mr. Londa feels that many of the concerns that definitely the extreme temperatures have created have been resolved, and he continues to work with the consultants to make sure that everything is operational the way it should be. He's had the technology folks out several times to address this, and he expresses confidence to me that indeed with their continued assistance that all the things that he's seeing are going to be resolved, if they haven't been already.
Mr. Chairman, if I can just follow up. In looking at the report, I was able to read, and I don't have all the documents I necessarily would like, but I did look at the commissioning certificate of completion, and in looking at it, it's noted that the issues have not yet been resolved to the owner's satisfaction, and specifically that until all the controllers are referenced to a single baud rate, that he anticipates is going to continue to be problems. My concern is, without knowing and being aware of the terms and condition of the contract, in looking at this, it appears to me that this final payment is the certificate of completion, and this would be the final payment. And it appears that we're continuing to have ongoing HVAC problems. And I understand that he's confident that it will be addressed satisfactorily. But I would question why we're releasing the final payment until such time as it is addressed satisfactorily. And additionally, I heard, and I don't know, but I heard about another punch list that may exist, and my question is there another punch list? Are there other issues that are currently being worked on?
Yeah, I have no knowledge of another. The only punch list that I'm aware of is related to the exterior, the tennis courts. We did, because those were installed last spring when it warmed up.
Okay.
And there is a punch list that exists with that was with the site coordinator, so that's with Powell, through Shamit, that those are being addressed. So this commissioning report speaks back to completion of commissioning, and Mr. Londa did have some concerns, and this is our feedback to the commissioning agent, that indeed we felt that there should have been more involvement of the Director of Facilities, and this goes back to the MSBA is who it goes back to. The commissioning agent is hired by the MSBA.
Okay.
They're not under our control, and this feedback was more to that commissioning agency.
Okay.
Because we are out of warranty. I know the bond rate issue relates back, Mr. Londa told us today that he feels it relates back to an interruption that happened with the electricity that affected a lot of these systems when there was an extreme power outage last fall. A squirrel was on the wires. The squirrel is no more, but it really caused a lot of disruption, and that's what he tracks back to some of these bond rates
the
as well.
commissioning report is dated August of last year.
Yeah.
So
But it noted that they were going to meet in January of 2018.
Right.
It noted a meeting in January 2018.
We felt it
which
was
is why I'm
important to
wondering
put
if
that
it's
on
been-
the record, because
Yeah.
we had no place else to really put that on the record.
But the concerns appeared, according to this report, the concerns initially appeared during the warranty period.
Some of the concerns did occur.
So I'm
yes.
questioning why, I'd like to understand why, if they initially occurred during the warranty period, why they haven't been addressed and why they're not still under warranty.
They continue to be addressed, and the warranty period is over, but we still have a contract with those technicians and the consultants to do it.
But it would be at our cost, correct?
It would be, yes.
I guess I'm really trying to get my head around that. If the problems occurred during the warranty period and they're still ongoing,
Right.
and they've never been addressed satisfactorily, I would question why we're going to end up being on the hook to pay for them.
I can't answer that question in terms of, I've asked Mr. Londa that in terms of being able to track it. We're out of warranty now. There's been disruptions to the system. As I said, the electrical outage seemed to be a big part of that. I don't think that is necessarily attributable back to the warranty. But we wanted to put it on the record in terms of just our feedback relative to the commissioning agent around the building.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
And who is this final payment to, the $172,000? Okay, and Shamit is...
They were the general contractor.
Okay, so I guess...
And they continue to support us in working with the technology folks or the consultants.
Okay. I guess I have a problem releasing the final payment for the project, and this is the final payment when we have ongoing issues. HVAC issues can be a significant expense. And I would question why, if these problems occurred during the warranty period, why they have not yet been addressed. And quite frankly, I don't believe it should be on our dollar. If these problems were identified before the warranty expired and they've never been addressed satisfactorily, I don't think we should have to pay for them. And I would withhold the final payment until such time as they're addressed. I mean, that's my position.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, I would ask John to actually document with the contractor, the technician, to determine what is in and what is out of. I mean, I'll buy the fact that there might be an electrical issue afterwards, and that would not be in the original part. But if there's something that was identified in advance, the fact that it's out of warranty doesn't mean that we still don't have some claim against them.
Exactly.
It's got to be implied merchantability, implied ability to make sure that it's usable for what we bought it for.
So I'm not, from my standpoint, I want to continue to withhold this payment, and I would like more information about the HVAC system. And honestly, I know John's not here, but I'd like to understand more in detail the problems with the roof and be assured that they are corrected 100%.
Okay.
So I would like to hear from John on the roof. But I'd like to make sure that all of the issues are addressed satisfactorily before we issue the final payment. And frankly, as Mr. Ebersol said, I believe we do have a claim. If these issues were identified during the warranty period, I would not be willing to assume the cost of any repairs.
Okay. All right. So, with that, the BRR you probably don't want to sign either, because that's the last budget transfer, which is connected to the final payment. So it sounds like we need to have Mr. Londa here to be able to respond to those things and have a better explanation of why, if they were under warranty, why even though we're out of warranty, why they weren't resolved.
Right.
And I think it's going to get very, very technical in tracking through that, and so that's a Mr. Londa question.
Yeah, absolutely. And potentially Shawmut as the GC. That's up to them, but it is their final payment, so.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're going to show up because there's potential litigation, but perhaps, I don't know who the technicians are, whether they were the technicians at the time or whether the technicians later.
The technicians are Dakin, who service the units, as well as the consultants that have the controls. So those are the folks that Mr. Londa is working with. Okay? Great. This is helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can just lay it down.
No, I think we have Karen here.
Good work, thank you.
Okay, our next item is the town manager report.
Before we move on, could we, I asked the finance director to come tonight to explain the borrowing piece,
Fine.
and Karen, you can come up.
This is in response to the question on the bond anticipation note?
Yes.
Yes,
the
okay,
bands and
great.
what we've borrowed to date. And
Great, thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Karen.
This is just a summary. I provided you with a summary of total project costs to date, what we had received from MSBA to date, and what our anticipated local share was versus what we've bonded to date and what we have left to bond. As Mr. Mackin said, total project expenditures was $68,106,475. The total reimbursements that we've received from MSBA to date are $32,642,234, and that takes into account the anticipated reimbursements that we would receive on that final payment request from Shawmut, which that wouldn't be entered into the ProPay system and submitted for reimbursement until it's approved for payment by the board.
So wait a minute, go back. This 32 million takes that into account or doesn't?
Does. It takes it all into account. To date, we've actually received $32,233,840 from MSBA.
Okay.
We are due, on the last rec that we submitted, what happens with MSBA is once you get to the 95% threshold, they withhold the dollars until they audit the project. So on the last requisition that we submitted, they owe us a balance of $241,296. The anticipated reimbursement for the final payment that you have there of the 172 and the one that was paid prior to that of the 110, the anticipated MSBA reimbursement from that is $167,098. So with all of that, once we received everything from MSBA, the total amount that we would have received is $32,642,234. So if we take that from the actual expenditures of $68,106,475, the total local share for the project is $35,453,900. $464,241. To date, between what we have issued in bonds and what we have applied through to the project from bond premiums and from a prior year article, the amount that we've either bonded or applied other funds from is $33,809,377, and that would leave a balance, a final balance that we would need to bond of $1,654,863 for the project. And that, you know, it depends what happens with the MSBA when they go through the whole audit process. I mean, obviously, some things could shift, but based on everything that we know right now, that would be the balance left that the town would have to bond in order for the project to be complete.
When do you anticipate MSBA will be finished with the audit?
They told us 6 months.
6 months from now?
6 months
When
from,
they
I mean,
receive
we
it,
have to go
when they
through the whole
receive the
process where we, you know, you are satisfied and you sign off on the final payment to the vendor. Then we enter the final payment requisition into MSBA's ProPay system. And once that happens and all the forms that Loxi have are signed by the board, then that's when the process will
So
start.
6 months from our sign-off, essentially.
And it could be longer, it could be, I mean, we've never gone through it before, so I really don't know, but 6 months was the average that they used for the audit. So we would be looking to issue this bond. We actually have the ban that we just renewed for $2.1 million, which comes due in January of 2019, and that would be the time that we would issue the final bond.
Karen, if I understand it correctly, we have $1,654,000 that we're waiting to bond. What affects the timing on that? You know, relative to the citizen's question, you know, he believed interest rates were going up or whatever, you know. I know we have consultants working on this and telling us what's the best way to go about that with bond anticipation notes, and short-term borrowing, and long-term borrowing. You know, what affects that timing? That's just not us sitting around deciding when to.
No, and actually, I mean, we have that $2.1 million ban that we issued to carry us through project completion pending all the final reimbursements from MSBA. And that ban is issued for 1 year. So I think the interest rate on that ban was 1.15%. The financial analysts for the town right now are giving us interest rates of about 4% on long-term bonds. So it's a guessing game as to what it will be in January of 2019, but
we're not in a position at this point anyway, because we have to wait till we get a final.
Exactly. There's nothing we can do.
Okay. I just want to make that clear.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Nope.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Superintendent Collins and school committee as well. I just have a quick couple things to report on. Complete Streets. Information related to Complete Streets is now up on the town website under public notices. So anyone can go review those documents. And it includes the policy that was adopted in April of 2017, the meeting minutes of public officials from December 5th, as well as the presentation given by Woodard and Curran, the PowerPoint presentation on January 9th, and the link to the YouTube video for anyone that would like to see that workshop. So we encourage people to read the materials, and a survey is in the process of being developed by the town's consultant, Woodard and Curran. And when that is available, we'll be promoting that through various means, both online and hard copies. Town facilities, just a reminder that that public forum is Monday, February 5th at 10 a.m. at the Eagle House, and the snow date for that event is February 26th at the same time, 10 a.m. The property condition assessments, the engineering firm who was hired to perform the property condition assessments will be coming to the Selectmen's Meeting on February 6th at 7 p.m. And we will be inviting the Capital Planning Committee and the Finance Committee as well to attend that meeting. And the firm will have completed the review of the Town Hall, the old primary school, the Brooks House, the TC Passios, and the Ritter Building. And they'll report on those. The property condition assessments for the Eagle House and Turkey Hill will come at a later date once those assessments and written assessments are complete. And just an announcement, Town Council office hours for February will be February 13th, 3 to 7 p.m., and March 13th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Nothing else.
Okay.
Bless you.
Bless you. All right, our next order of business is the annual town manager performance evaluation. The town manager's performance is evaluated according to her contract annually. This is a document that I put together based on input from all the selectmen, Stoll, Ebasol, Bertram, Luck, and McQuaid. I'd like to read the composite that I drafted into the record and then open it up to any discussion or comments from the board with the objective to approve it this evening. Overview. This document summarizes input from the selectmen on 10 performance standards and core responsibilities that have been established as criteria for the town manager's annual performance evaluation. This review will be done yearly, and along with an assessment of the town manager's achievement of agreed-to goals, the achievement of town goals set in conjunction with the selectmen, and actual performance against town objectives will determine the town manager's compensation. Composite summary. A majority of the board agrees that the town manager has met all and exceeded most of their expectations during the past year. Each member of the board has met individually with Heather to discuss their input and trade feedback. The town manager has also prepared a self-evaluation against the same 10 performance standards that will be used to plan development and set goals for the coming year. I'd like to go through the 10 performance standards and core responsibilities. Individual characteristics. Most of the board felt that Heather's sound judgment, professional attitude and demeanor, and ability to create positive working relationships with department heads, employees, and citizens exceeded expectations. Although one comment suggested longer lead time notifications for workshops and increased delegation, positive input centered around her leadership at the special town meeting and innovative solutions to various issues, including the adoption of complete streets, comprehensive permitting system, and the TC Passio short-term reuse. Heather's calm and informative manner was also cited as a positive. Number 2, problem-solving decision-making. Heather has handled all issues that have come her way head-on. Town hall facility issues, grant opportunities, updating policies, and contract negotiations have been dealt with. She has continually exceeded expectations with innovative solutions showing creativity in obtaining funding and using various local resources to assist with issues and concerns, including obtaining dedicated local assistance grant, or Delta funds, through the MRPC, implementation of town council office hours to improve communication and reduce legal expenses, working with vendor to improve town website and overall communications, and various other programs to increase citizen input. Driving participation in the community compact through the award and town manager mold abatement and handling of records.
Town hall.
Town hall. No, I'm sorry. You don't have mold. Town hall mold abatement and handling of records. Heather handled the situation of workplace safety and air quality with great speed and kept the town hall running. Number 3, professional skills and knowledge. Heather clearly is knowledgeable in the practice of local government. What is particularly impressive is how quickly she was able to understand the nuances of local traditions, issues, and relationships. She has earned the respect of her staff with her knowledge, and she is a real asset to the Board of Selectmen. Her assistance in the selection and integration of the new town council was outstanding. Heather has initiated town manager reports, which she prepares for each Board of Selectmen meeting to provide the board with a concise snapshot of current issues. Heather exceeds expectations in her ability to listen to various viewpoints and exchange information in a way that demonstrates respect, even if she may have a different perspective. Heather deals with complex problems of our town infrastructure and looks for innovative options for reuse, like the temporary community kitchen at the Passios building. Number 4, teamwork and leadership. Heather listens to input and considers the point of view of all parties. Her quiet style allows for measured discussions of issues, and she knows leadership and she shows leadership and builds consensus toward a workable solution. She has been willing to take the time to talk with many citizens to hear their concerns, even if it takes a great deal of her time. This has led to trust that will result in improved communications for later situations. Her ethical and honest manner creates a situation where staff, elected officials, and the public will believe what she says, allowing the parties to focus on the policies being discussed rather than disputes regarding facts. The town manager has taken action to improve relationships between the board and various members of the community through public outreach. Although one board member sees a need for improvement as a result of a department committee dispute, the remainder of the board assesses this area as exceeding expectations based on the town manager's leadership role in cross-department team building involving the business community and economic development and driving the department capital planning process. Number 5, staff effectiveness. While all selectmen rated this category at least meeting expectations, this remains an area where the board has limited visibility but high-profile view into the actual operations of the departments. It appears that Heather has integrated with the existing staff and is leading them toward continuous improvement and efficiency. She has instituted monthly department head meetings. In the board's role as a policy-setting body and the town manager's responsibility in operations, ways should be found to increase visibility and allow for board support without interfering with day-to-day performance. Number 6, supervisory oversight and direction. Developing opportunities for the board to have increased visibility into staff performance and finding ways for the board to support initiatives for the staff's continuous improvement should be an area of concentration in the future. Board comments in this category did not differentiate from the previous category on staff effectiveness, and we should work on discussing how to differentiate the two categories or combine them going forward. Number 7, community and public relations. Heather's manner is one of respect to the public and assumes that they deserve good service and information to address their concerns. The public outreach efforts have been great to watch and involve some people who do not normally participate in town government. Heather has driven several initiatives to get the community more involved in town government. Charrettes and other community input meetings have been held in areas of building reuse, economic development, and complete streets. Communication through an improved town internet site and social media presence is beginning to catch on. This area, rated exceeds expectations by the board, has a potential for high impact and positive results. Number 8, fiscal management. Heather was able to assimilate into the budget and town meeting fiscal processes early in her tenure as town manager. She will play a more robust role in the creation and debate of this year's financial process. She has assumed the role of town procurement officer seamlessly, and the board is confident in her day-to-day financial decisions. Addressing long-term capital and implementing an automated long-term capital tracking system, preventative maintenance planning, and spending for town infrastructure and OPEB liability management will continue to be major fiscal issues on Heather's watch. The majority of the board rated this area exceeds expectations. Number 9, relations with elected members of the board. Heather exceeds expectations in relations with the board. She does an excellent job of keeping the board informed of pending and current issues. Her town manager updates are timely and complete. Heather displays the right balance of working with the chair to ensure agenda continuity and with the whole board to ensure visibility and board-wide directives. The implementation of iPad and Google Drive technology by the town manager has improved communication and made it easier for board members to stay informed. Heather is responsive to board questions and often provides more detail than expected. She handles the expectations of a diverse board and provides results that represent the body as a whole. Number 10, reporting. Again, Heather exceeded expectations of the board in the area of reporting. She meets with the BOS chair weekly to review and prepare the meeting agenda. Heather also prepares BOS meeting packets for iPad, the town manager update, as well as relevant documents for weekly meetings. She distributes text messages as appropriate to ensure the board is informed. Heather reports to the public on budgets, town meeting articles, and proposals have been complete and accurate. Heather also emails or texts the board in emergency situations 24/7. Overall rating, exceeds expectations. The town manager meets all and exceeds most of the board's expectations on the 10 performance standards and core responsibilities for the period January 17th, 2017 through January 1st, 2018. Are there any input or comments, questions from the board? Feel it's an accurate representation of the input that you submitted?
I do.
I feel that some of them show that Heather exceeds expectations of the board. I would like that changed to of most members.
Any objection?
No.
Or a majority of the board.
Okay. Any other comments, questions, input?
Okay.
That was excellent.
Thank you for all your time putting that
Yeah,
together.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to accept this and sign it?
I would make a motion that we accept the composite town manager performance evaluation as read and amended.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So why don't I make those changes and we'll have it for signature next week? Is that okay? Okay. Superb. Now, our game plan on this is that I would like to have an executive session next week, and we could talk about any salary action if required.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, next meeting. Thank you.
February 6th, then?
Yes.
Do you want to do it at 6?
No, we could do it
After-
at the end of the meeting, yeah. Because I know 6 was difficult.
Very.
Yeah. Actually, just as a scheduling issue, the only time I try to do it at 6 is if we have outside counsel or somebody coming and they're coming from Boston or something
Yeah,
like that.
right, so they don't have to hang around.
Right.
Right.
Okay, superb. Next item is the February workshop. I turn that over to the town manager for.
So at our last meeting, Jamie and I spoke when we were discussing our future workshops. We discussed possibly having a agenda workshop. There's a list of agenda action item topics that have been put on a list to see if we can get through those as part of a workshop.
Remember what we were talking about?
I'm
The
confused.
to-do list that we had?
Yeah.
Well, we've accomplished some, we've added some.
Oh, so it's just to get a status update or
Well, actually, to-
direction on things?
To
or
look at
just
the list and
look at the
determine if we
list
wanted to, we want to workshop any
and
of them.
what, okay, what we're looking for and to kind of give you guidance or if they've been addressed and just kind of flush out that list?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
And we'd use half of that meeting for the workshop and the other half for regular meeting
Yeah,
business
sounds
That's good.
for February.
No, that sounds like a great way to move forward.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Take it off the list and maybe add something.
Yeah.
That's something,
Somehow
I know we're going to
somehow I
add
don't think
something.
the list is going to be smaller at the end of it.
It'll be different.
But hopefully we'll do something. Yeah.
All right, so you'll get that list out ahead of time so we
Yes.
can think about it. Okay, great. Minutes, we have minutes for December 19th and January 2nd.
I will again thank Elaine for her very appropriate minute-taking and responsiveness.
Yeah, they're actually a pleasure to read.
You often don't want to necessarily relive a meeting.
Yes, right.
She doesn't do it blow by blow, but she does cover the most important parts, which is required by the public record law.
Agreed. I have an accounts payable warrant in the amount of $439,019.64. Another accounts payable warrant in the amount of $3,000. just was for police academy training. A payroll deductions warrant in the amount of $161,409.03.
This, I can't sign,
Okay.
I don't think I can sign this one.
Police Academy.
That's all right, if you don't sign.
Yeah, I don't think I can sign it.
And a, what kind is this? Payroll? Yeah.
Yes.
Payroll in the amount of $743,605.69. Any action file issues?
I actually have two, sort of as a result of being at the MMA conference. In a meeting where there was a discussion that the state legislature is holding a hearing on January 30th on a new law to reduce the requirement for approval at town meeting of zoning bylaws from 2/3 to 50%. And I would hope the BOS has a position on this, and we can share that with our legislatures. The first meeting is on the 30th. You know, when the state people came around to the tables, everyone said, no, you know, this does not benefit the
It
town.
should go on our agenda.
But the
We should
state-
take a position.
The state wants to increase housing, and they don't really care. So, all of the municipal people, and the state people seemed surprised that the municipal people were pretty much saying,
What was the time frame on that?
January 30th is the first meeting in, it's, what is it? It's House Bill, I'll have to look at it.
So it's a legislative hearing?
Yes.
But
So-
we should definitely submit a letter, so we should
Right.
have it on our first agenda, our next agenda,
Right.
to take a position.
Do you know when they receive public comment until? Is it?
I don't, they were just kind of trying to flush out our opinions. But they did say, and someplace I have what House Bill number it is, so I can give you that.
Thank you.
If you could get us the summary of the bill, because I
Yeah.
think it's possible that that's required to have local option, that we would have to, the town would vote to do it, but I'm not sure whether they changed it to say it shall be the state requires.
The indication was, if the state passes this, you have no choice.
If you could get us, once you have the House bill, send it out to us so that we can all review it.
And I can reach out to our state rep.
Yeah.
And, yeah, because
Thank you, Phyllis.
you're welcome. And another, there was a workshop promoted by the town's insurance carrier, Maya, do's and don'ts of municipal social media policies. Bob was in the same one. It was very informative. Takeaways. It's recommended to establish a Facebook policy for organizational group if you're on Facebook. It's recommended to establish a town social media policy for employees and to give it out to them annually, have them sign it, and return it every year. It's recommended to establish a town social media policy for appointed and elected board committee members, give it out to them annually, have it signed and returned. If the town has a Facebook page, that should be how the town disseminates information. There may be a hand-picked few charged with putting information, let's say the police chief does, the fire chief does, the DPW director, the town manager, but they should be limited to specific people who know exactly what kind of information, and that should be the method of communication for town departments, so you can control the message. It's much more costly to make a Facebook page interactive because it takes many more man-hours to monitor. So they suggested that you think long and hard before you do an interactive Facebook page because it's difficult to reverse that once you launch it interactively. So now that Lunenburg has a Facebook page, I request that immediate action be taken to establish the policies as recommended. The town of Easton was the panel, and as well as a couple of attorneys, and they gave me examples of all of their policies, which I'd be happy to share with you.
We have a policy.
have a
We
policy.
adopted one in July,
Yeah,
or
we have.
September, I'm sorry. And that is a link right on the Facebook page, what the town's policy is.
And
it
it
was
is distributed as well to employees.
Yes.
Do they have to sign it?
Yes, they have to sign an acknowledgement or receipt of any new policy or amended policy.
Great.
I think the part that what had a little more discussion was that it would be good to disseminate the policy to elected officials. We don't control other elected officials, but in fact, there was a situation that was raised as an example that actually happened during the MMA conference regarding how one board member on this board in another town was dealing with a situation. And the town council in our session talked about you as the board, this was a different elected board than the Board of Selectmen, don't control that other board, but you would hope that that board as itself would police itself. So the goal would be is that we adopted our Facebook, our social media policy, which I assume therefore all of us who are on the committee at this point would have adopted. And if one of us violated that, then either it's this board who deals with the other member who's inappropriately doing it, or there's always the town recall process if it's really egregious. But I think that it was sending the message to the town that the policy was important for civility and appropriate use of social media. Not that we want to regulate the content, but to make sure that it's a positive thing. So I think that it was a very good session to talk about that, and that you want to get out in front of it before you have a situation. You could see some various ones that Lunenburg have that are being moderated by the moderator and being, in most cases, appropriately managed. But since this is a town one, we want to get ahead of it.
And if the suggestion was that if there's information to go out, it goes out on the town Facebook page as opposed to discussing Lunenburg. So the town Facebook page is where all the information comes from, because in that way, you'll get people to come to the town's Facebook page more often.
And people certainly can link to that.
We can share, other,
But
where
then
they can share our post as well.
So you could share let me just understand what people are saying. So you would share the post that's on the Lunenburg Facebook page to the Discussing Lunenburg page?
Somebody could, but the town will be doing it on ours.
Okay.
So the police and fire and DPW will be using our Facebook page exclusively.
If we do that, I would recommend, because I have seen, and I'm sure you all have, a number of exchanges on the Discussing Lunenburg page by various town officials just to get information and disseminate information. If that's the position we take, and if that's the appropriate thing to do, I'm fine with that, but I would want to make it very clear to the administrators of Discussing Lunenburg that be posted, that, for issues or for information to visit the Lunenburg Facebook page, because I don't want all of a sudden people are getting information, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback about posting that information and about having information out there, and it's truly appreciated. So if we're going to pull that back, I want to make it very clear that we're pulling it back from this particular vehicle, but you can go here. So I don't want there to all of a sudden be a void.
Right.
Because I think it's been a very positive thing.
I agree. And the way those posts have been made too, it's through not a town page to that page, but as an official, an event, it's been appropriate.
Right.
So I want to, thank that individual for doing that, because it's getting information out. And right now, that Facebook page has many more followers than our page. So it's getting the information out to a wider pool of people. I hope to surpass that number eventually on our page.
So I mean, and if the town officials are directed to use the town's page, hopefully that will happen.
And I guess, and I'm fine with that, but my issue is, as the town manager just said, there are hundreds of more followers on the Discussing Lunenburg page, and if all of a sudden the town officials disappear from that page and now they're posting on the Lunenburg page, that doesn't mean that the public is going to look to that page, and that's my concern.
Why don't we add this topic to our workshop thing next week and see if we want to spend some quality time on it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Any other action file issues?
I guess I just have one, and that's, I'm not quite sure where we are with the inspection for the Lake Charlie Dam. Can we just find out when that inspection's going to take place, what the cost is, and any ongoing issues? And one of my big things that I always ask is, do we get the documentation from the dam keeper about water levels and opening of the gate? And I don't know if we've ever received it. I know they keep a log in the damn house, but it would be helpful if we had it. And I didn't mean damn house. I meant the damn. Well, you know what I meant.
Yes, you did.
Okay, committee reports. Mr. McQuaid?
Just update that capital planning wrapped up their prioritization earlier tonight, and I'll be making a presentation at the Finance Committee meeting on Thursday to summarize our recommendations.
Ms. Luck?
I wasn't able to attend the last school committee meeting, but they'll meet again on the 31st, I believe.
The Cable Advisory and the MPO are both meeting tomorrow. Cable Advisory is continuing to negotiate with Comcast and really hoping that we have something for you soon. The Conservation Commission was snowed out at their last meeting. Their next meeting is February 7th. I did want to share with the board that on January 30th, which is next Tuesday, we will be hosting the first MPO sub-region only meeting. And sub-region 3 consists of Lunenburg, Air, Shirley, and Harvard. And it's really to get officials from those communities to come in and talk about any issues that they're having, any potential projects that they have, any concerns that they have, to get information from MRP staff about various issues. And you all know I've talked about complete streets. I've talked about incorporating that into some of our paving projects, or what can be done. So it's a good opportunity for towns to come in, town officials to come in, meet one-on-one with MRPC staff, and really get to be more familiar with the process of the TIP and the MPO process. So that will be next Tuesday at 7 o'clock at the Eagle House. So if anyone's available to attend, I hope you do. And I really hope, Heather, that if we could encourage Jack or yourself to attend, because I think it's going to be a good workshop to really understand how the TIP works and really get to know more about the process.
So when and where is that again?
That is January 30th, and I apologize for the short notice. I just found out about it. January 30th at 7 o'clock at the Eagle House. So,
Right here.
Here, yes, it's at the Eagle House. Yes, I got a, kind of funny, I got a email Thursday saying, can we meet in Lunenburg? And I was scrambling to find a place. So I want to thank Sue Doherty for accommodating us, because trying to find a space was tough.
And it'll be important to have attendance of town officials, since we
We are
will be
hosting.
losing Paula's attention to this matter.
That's true.
I will ask the DPW director to attend. I will be at a sewer commission meeting,
Okay,
so I will go after that meeting as long as it doesn't run too long.
okay. Thank you.
So the Charter Commission is meeting tomorrow night, and we will be meeting with the town manager to go over various topics under her jurisdiction.
Okay, I have no report. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming finance schedule in a moment. Is there any other town department reports or anything?
No.
Nope, okay. So our upcoming meeting schedule, inclusive of the Finance Committee, because there's some joint activities coming up. This coming Thursday, the 25th, is the 5-year forecast and the Capital Planning Committee report to the Finance Committee, and that's where it will be reported, so if you'd like to attend that, I plan to.
Will that be televised? Because unfortunately, I have another meeting
Yes.
that night. Is it televised?
Yes.
Okay.
Our next meeting is February 6th. We have a meeting on February 13th that is the second Tuesday of the month, so it's normally a workshop. As we discussed, it'll be a half workshop, half business meeting. Thursday, February 15th, is the finance meeting where the town manager makes the budget presentation, another one that we may want to attend if you're available. The 20th is our last meeting in February for the Board of Selectmen, and the 22nd is a finance meeting, again, where as we enter budget season, they become more important. And I believe most of them are televised from here to town meeting, but I don't know if every single one of them is. All
Will we get
righty.
a copy of the agenda so we know where it is?
What's that?
Will we get a copy of the agenda so we know where it is?
Finance?
Yeah.
It's here.
They're all.
Oh, they're all here.
They're
They're all
here.
here.
They're all
Okay.
here.
And they're all at 7 unless,
All right.
and the agenda is posted on the website.
Great.
Like all the agendas. Okay. I believe that's our business. Is there any public comment from the public? Please.
Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street. As a sponsor of the amendment on Article 1 of the special town meeting this past fall, I question why the two buildings that the voters at that town meeting voted and funded the studies for the additional two buildings in the assessment project have not been added to the list and will not be reported on with the report that's coming up.
What buildings are they?
Turkey Hill Elementary School and the senior
Eagle House.
Eagle House, excuse me. Those were both voted at town meeting, on town meeting floor as an amendment to that appropriation, and money was added to that appropriation for those two buildings to be added. And I haven't heard discussion that those have been done.
Yep. In my report, I said those are forthcoming. The engineers haven't been out to do the actual assessments, and after they do the physical assessment, they do a written component. So that's yet to be done. So it will be done. They're
I guess
aware
my
that-
expectation on town meeting floor was that the fact that it was being done at the time that the project was being approved and funded, that it would all be done at the same time. Obviously, that's not happening, and I think it should have been. As I've privately told the town manager, I think all the buildings should have been done all at one time, so we have a snapshot of all the buildings all at the same time and not at different points in time. But it is what it is at this point. Thank you.
Can you just comment?
A matter of scheduling.
That's what I thought, is typically, and I know working with contractors on various issues, if you have a project that they allot a certain amount of time, and if we have a project change order and it's a fairly significant one, they may not have worked that into their schedule.
Right.
So I'm assuming that's what happened.
Yes, that happened. So when they came out to do the initial assessments for those 5 buildings, we had received a quote for that work prior to town meeting. That's what we went to town meeting with. And they had that window of time available. It's a matter of scheduling their appropriate staff and all the officials in that technicality to come out and do that work for those 2 buildings. So, you're welcome.
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment that Representative Benson is going to have an economic development workshop
saw
this
that.
Friday,
I saw
so
that.
maybe there'll be time to talk about that zoning thing, just to get some clarity on it.
And where is it? And
It's
what-
Bull Run.
At the Bull Run, 1:30 to 3:30.
And you had to pre-register, right? Is
You
it
have to register.
is it too late to register?
I don't think so. I think, when I emailed Josh, it was pretty
Okay,
easy.
so you just emailed Josh? Because I would like to go to that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other public comment from the public? Any public comment from the board? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.